This little guy is unique. I have no idea what kind of caterpillar he is, but he looks a little menacing. Wow. Fear, alchemy of the soul, dark night of the soul. All of these things that we have to reconcile within ourselves, because they do trigger us in certain ways. They do come up and resurface even when we think we've overcome it. So the last time I was on vacation and staying at the cabin that I rented out, my dog actually made me start thinking about some things. She was a rescue and we got her from the pound. And we don't know like where she came from or what her home life was like. But we started to learn a little bit more about her over time. And one of the things that occurs with her is that she gets triggered when it comes to vehicles and when it comes to, I guess, abandonment. She gets nervous when she's left, or when she feels like she's being left behind. She starts to whimper and whoa, what was that? Yeah, guys, I'm in the middle of the woods here, okay? I just heard something very loud. That wasn't normal. So even in the daytime, the woods can be a little creepy. Anyhow, I have my back to the forest and my camera to the stream. Anyhow, I apologize. Back to my storytelling here. She can get triggered with certain things, okay? It could be, me going away. She knows that we're packing. She knows that, we're preparing to leave. She senses all of these things. And she, I think, gets triggered kind of like a PTSD of maybe past events, or maybe having been left abandoned before. You can tell that she's scared that we're going to leave her. And there's nothing that I can do to soothe her and to let her know that, no, it's all right. We wouldn't do that to you. We love you. And it's just basically maybe a past memory that's coming up to haunt her in regards to maybe the way she was left before by her previous family. But no matter how much I soothe her or hug her or pet her and tell her that it's okay, as an animal, she's not understanding that. And that's the difference between us and them, where we have things that trigger us from the past that resurface, that remind us of a trauma that we experienced before. The beautiful thing about us is that we can transmute that. We can take those negative experiences and we can understand them. We can understand what triggers them, what brings them to the surface again for us and causes us to set us back. For her, she has these moments and she's reliving it all over again. And that's the beauty of what I think is, the alchemy of the soul. We can take those negative experiences and use them as learning tools also use them as a way to heal ourselves. If they resurface again, we can recognize it right away. If we're that self-aware, we can look at it and say, okay, I know why I'm feeling this way suddenly. It reminded me of a past event, or I'm having memories of a situation that hurt me. Okay, time to kind of like sort that out within myself and understand where it came from, and hopefully get to a point where instead of it hurting you, it edifies you or it empowers you. And that's what I mean by an alchemy of the soul. You have these PTSD moments that your spirit experiences, and you're able to, instead of dwelling on them, wallowing in them, you're able to transmute them into experiences that empower you, make you confident, make you stronger. I personally have things that trigger me, and I've gotten to a point in my life where I understand where it's coming from. I can pinpoint why I'm feeling a certain way. I have scars on my legs from a past trauma as a child. I was in a very severe car accident. There was a life lost in that event. My mother was severely injured, disabled pretty much for the rest of her life until she passed. And I had scars. I have scars still on my legs from breaking both my femurs. I have a compound fracture on one leg where it broke through the muscle and the tissue and left a horrendous scar. I had pins in my knees. I was in a body cast for 6 months. I have scars all over my leg from that experience. And I had to learn how to walk all over again. It took me about 1.5 years of rehab. But I looked down on my legs every day. And instead of feeling ashamed of those scars, instead of feeling, or kind of reliving the past event, I'm able to look down on them and feel empowered and say, look at all that I've been through. Look at all that I survived. I can look down on them now and they don't affect me the way that they used to when I was younger. I used to want to cover them up all the time. But now I wear them like a badge of honor. And to me, my scars look pretty badass. If you ask me, I'm proud of them. It just is a physical reminder of what I overcame and how I survived. So I cannot look down on myself anymore and feel ashamed. If anything, these are scars that have made me who I am. And I should feel okay with that. Because if it wasn't for that experience, I wouldn't be who I am right now. So, how I overcame that as a kid, it's tough. You're resilient as a child, though. You tend to heal quicker. You tend to be more optimistic about, a negative situation. You just have a better outlook on life. But as an adult, how I continue to heal from that experience is I don't let it stop me. I do have pain still. I do have arthritis. I do have, certain things that still affect me physically, but it doesn't stop me. If anything, I challenge that pain by continuing to do what makes me happy. I run. I love to hike. I am active. I don't let the pain or the things that still hurt me get in the way of being an active person. I do have issues where, I have an imbalance in my spine. It does cause me pain on occasion. It hurts my back. I have to see the chiropractor at least every, couple months. But it does not stop me from living. In fact, it makes me want to push harder. And that's where I feel like if you take these experiences that have hurt you, that have traumatized you, that have caused you some pain, if you take that and turn it around into something positive, use it as fuel to empower yourself and push you above and beyond it. There are two types of people in this world, I think. They're the kind that, you know, they have these experiences, they wallow in them. You know, it's like, are you going to wallow in that pit of self-pity? Or are you going to rise above it? Are you going to be stronger than your pain? Are you going to be tougher and more resilient than the experience that you were thrown into? And trust me, I know that there are situations in life where you are not in control of the situation. Life throws things at you that are completely out of your control. But there's always a choice. There's always a choice. You can be a victim of your circumstances. You can continue to be collateral damage, okay, for the situation that was tossed at you, of no cause of your own even, you know? Or you can rise above it, and that is always a choice. That is always a choice, okay? And that's the thing. We have to take responsibility for our own lives and choose to overcome these things that hurt us, okay? The past does trigger us. It comes back to haunt us. It does leave scars on our spirit sometimes. But at the end of the day, it's fear. It's fear that will keep us stuck in that place. It's fear that preys on our insecurities. And this is where I say you can take those negatives and you can twist them, you can turn them into something that works for you rather than against you. We have personal fears. We have personal triggers. We have personal scars that we must overcome. But it's a matter of choice. It's always a matter of choice. You can be, like I said, a victim of your situation, you know, victim of your circumstance, or you can choose another path. You can stay there or you can choose another path. Our triggers, those things from the past that resurface, like I said, are just fears. Those are our fears, our internal struggles that we have yet to resolve within ourselves. We have yet to reconcile. So once you're self-aware enough to understand them, to recognize them when they pop up, then you can do the work. You can do the spiritual work to transmute them. Take that muck, that lead, okay, deep within yourself, and turn that into spiritual gold, right? Evolve to the point where those things, those fears, those anxieties, that PTSD of the soul, that dark night of the soul, when it comes back and resurfaces, you're strong enough to understand where it's coming from and transmute it into something that is going to enlighten you. And I know that's easier said than done, but it's a matter of understanding yourself, getting to know yourself. The universe will throw challenges at us, okay? Always. Life is not an easy ride. But it's how we rise from those experiences that truly make us who we are. I grew up, you know, in a household that wasn't secure. It wasn't always the safest. And it could have turned somebody else into, you know, a not so healthy person, physically, mentally, and spiritually, okay? But I always wanted, I don't know, I always wanted to be better than the way that I was brought up. And I'm not just saying physically better, monetarily better. No, that's not what I mean at all. I didn't want to be that. I saw those around me as an example of how not to be. It taught me what I didn't want for my life. So if anything, those past experiences, my environment, my childhood, it taught me how I didn't want to live the rest of my life, in other words. I used other people's mistakes as a learning tool. I learned from other people's mistakes in that situation. And it gave me an outline for my life. I knew right away what I wanted for myself based on what I didn't want. And I think I've done okay. And I'm here now. I'm sharing this with you in hopes that I could maybe motivate you to take those negative experiences and use them as fuel, spiritual fuel of the highest kind. Make those negative experiences work for you rather than against you. Help it push you along. And you can look back on it later and say, wow, I've come so far. I've survived much. And like me, I've earned every scar and I've earned every gray hair on my head, and I'm proud of it. I still hear something in the background walking behind me, yet I can't put a finger on it. I might have to investigate as soon as I close out this video. So, I think I'm going to leave you here. I hope I've given you enough to ponder. If you can relate to any of this, if this has helped you in some way, please do let me know. Leave me a comment below. I like to know that these videos are not in vain. I know a lot of times it's me just, sharing my thoughts, ranting, whatever the case may be, but I feel if I'm inspired to share, it's for a reason. And maybe even if it just touches one person, reaches one person, then it was worth me taking a few minutes out of my day to share. So much love and blessings to everyone watching. I'll see you soon.